Welcome back to Under Oath. Now, here's what I love. Every once in a while, the radio show conflicts with another show that I do. So we were just handed this issue dealing with Pat Fitzgerald, the Northwestern University football coach who was fired because his players were hazing other players. You know, like a little fraternity thing. You know the way he does. They hang people by their underwear. They duct tape their stuff together. All the stuff that you fully are happy with.
I'm aware of hazing.
Okay. Now, they fire the guy after he's suspended. They suspend him for a certain amount of time. Then the story gets out and they fire him. Now, he's actually arguing, well, because you suspended me, you should be able to fire me. It's not fair. And they're going, we suspended you hoping that this case would not blow up and get in the media. But now it's in the media, you fired. His attorney is arguing that that's unfair.
Well, his attorney's arguing a little bit more than it's unfair. He's saying that they breached an oral agreement where Fitzgerald agreed to the suspension and issued a public statement. How could they possibly say now that they didn't think it was going to get in the media if part of his suspension required a public statement from him decrying the hazing? They knew it was going to get in the public. That is a flimsy BS excuse. They're trying to save $68 million. Who does this guy coach that he's getting $68 million?
Northwestern.
That's how much Northwestern?
Not a year. It's a whole contract.
Care. That shouldn't be a lifetime.
You know how much players are getting now for 1 year? College players, like 4 or 5.
I don't know. And Northwestern, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, so you can just run a mediocre football program and get multiples of millions of dollars a year?
The Utah football players, I just was in a place where every one of them got a brand new Chevy truck. Every player.
Even the kicker?
Even the backup kicker.
That's insane.
That's the way it works now.
That is insane.
That's why I can't watch college football. It doesn't matter anymore. It's like crappy pro. Because now they're pros. They're getting paid.
They're getting paid. Yeah, they're pros.
So they're pro players. They're not
pro.
amateur players anymore.
Yep,
And I'm not saying they were ever
They're
amateurs.
not student athletes anymore. Long gone is the day of looking at somebody who's got like a 3.5 in fluid mechanical engineering who also is a good athlete. That's a sad statement of our world.
Well, our world is going back to Mr. Fitzgerald. Now, here's what a lot of people don't know. They go, that's unfair, Jeff. There are morals clauses in everybody's thing. He's responsible if the players are hazing below him, he's responsible for that. He's the buck stops with you. And here's where things go off the rails. A college will try to protect a situation until they can't. They go, oh, it's not going to be big. And then when it hits national news and it starts affecting their recruiting, it starts affecting the money coming into college, it affects donors, then they're going to go, somebody's going to have to go on the sword.
Yeah.
Fall on the sword.
Yeah. What a terrible, immoral thing to do.
What are you talking about?
It's not his fault that his players hazed other players.
In our office.
You think that he wanted that to happen?
Do you think if our people were screwing around having these things and we're I'm in my office, I don't know what's going on, and something blows up and somebody dies, they're going to sue us. We're not going to go, well, I didn't do it. My people did it.
And they don't have to prove anything?
They don't have to prove. I knew it. They could show the business did it. Could be done.
17 years this guy was their head coach.
And the hazing was probably happening for all 17 of them. They probably have people come forward and goes, I remember they used to tape my buttocks to the back of the seats.
So what? Honest to God. So what? So they haze the players.
Okay.
So what?
You know why? Because people die doing these
Yeah, well,
things.
That's gone too far. That doesn't mean you can't haze at all.
You're going to trust a student to figure out what too far is? I was in a fraternity. I know what too far looks like.
A bunch of 18-year-old people? Yeah, I think we can trust a bunch of 18-year-old people not to take things too far.
Actually, I knew somebody who died during a hazing incident. He was stuck in a locker, and they ran water through it, and he wound up dying. They do it with alcohol all the time. Alcohol poisoning, they force these kids to do it, and they die. That's why they go, we're going to get rid of this hazing, because you know what happens? Every once in a while, somebody dies. So no more hazing, no more fraternities, no more crazy stuff.
Well, Jeff, every once in a while, somebody dies on football practice. So you're going to stop playing football too? How wimpy do we all have to be?
Really? We want to get into the health aspects of football, the changes of football, the concussion protocols. We shouldn't have those anymore?
No.
You know why? Because you don't play football.
I did play football.
You know what happens to these guys? These guys have migraine.
I got cracked in the head plenty of times.
Oh, at high school?
Yeah.
And why did you quit playing? Hold on. Why did you quit playing football?
Well, they wanted me to cut my hair. And
No,
see, it was
we're done here.
It was the 80s.
We're done here.
And like, if
Your
you
Honor.
grew up in the 80s, you know how important having long hair was in the 80s. It was like a pass, if you know what I mean.
So this is the
anyway.
man it's a man sport. I'm not cutting my hair. You're crazy. What a lot of people are having problems with is the suspension. But I think if they would have they probably suspended him originally because they respected him. And they go, we can't do it anymore. It's out of control.
This doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense. It blew up. It was a
But
small
they knew,
issue.
they can't say that they didn't know it was going to blow
There's a
up.
possibility if it blows up. And if it blows up, we're going to have to fire him.
I don't think that was made clear when they made the agreement.
I don't have to. There's no agreement. He didn't agree to a suspension. You don't agree to a suspension. You're suspended.
Well, that's the information we have is that they
Where does
agreed
it
to
say they
suspend
agreed to
him.
the suspension? I've never heard he goes, I agree to be suspended.
Fitzgerald was fired after 2-week suspension. An investigation did not find sufficient evidence the coaching staff knew about the ongoing hazing, but believed there were opportunities to be aware. So they didn't even, their own investigation didn't even determine
own investigation?
that he knew.
Their own investigation.
The investigation that caused him to be fired, yeah.
No. The investigation wasn't about
The
him
school
being fired.
statement emphasized Fitzgerald's response as head coach to be aware and prevent such issues.
Exactly. He should be aware. Not that he actually was. Intent is known or should have known. Now, this isn't a criminal issue. But if you're in charge, for example, presidents of colleges get fired all the time for things professors do. You're at the top, guess what? Bye-bye. The head gets chopped off.
All right. Well, in his lawsuit, he says that and I quote, there's an oral contract was violated where Fitzgerald would not face further penalties if he accepted the suspension and issued a supportive statement, both of which he did.
The oral contract is between who? So
Him
he's
and the
saying that
school.
something was said orally.
A representative of the school. Yeah. Just take this and we're not going to do anything to you.
Okay, you know what the conversation was. Hey, listen, we got this problem. Hopefully it'll go away. Let's do this to make it go away. And
So
it doesn't go away.
you think there's no way to modify a contract? Even under the principles of equitable estoppel?
See now he's getting cute because everyone goes, "Oh, use a big legal term."
What's equitable estoppel?
Most contracts at the bottom say any oral agreements or anything outside the four corners will not be viewed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going,
then
well,
what's the
equitably.
exception to that?
What he's hoping is that some judge will go, well, it's not fair. Not that it's not in the contract.
You made an agreement whereby somebody changed their position in reliance on what you said, and now you're going back on your word. That's how you get around the fact that there isn't a written contract that delineates this.
You're hoping that somebody will go out in front of people and say, hey, listen, Your Honor, it's unfair. It's unfair. And
if it happened, well, hold on. If it happened, you have to agree it's unfair.
Now, what is the oral?
Hold on, Jeff. No, answer that question.
He said, she said.
But that's not the question. The question is, assuming that they said this to him, hey, take the suspension, issue a statement, and nothing else will happen to you. Assume that's true.
If that's the exact term.
Assume that's true.
Exact term.
Then he should keep his job.
I could go with that, yeah.
Okay.
But he's going to say, we didn't actually say that.
Well, of course there's going to be conflict over the facts.
We have a he said,
but
she
if
said.
a jury believes that, that that's why he agreed to take the suspension.
Well, what he in his mind he thought it, in comparison to what actually happened, could be two different things.
Of course.
We
just did the last segment where everybody was lying.
Everyone's
the
a
police
liar.
are lying, the defendant's lying, the media's lying.
Now, here's the thing that you got to realize. Northwestern faces multiple lawsuits across different sports alleging sexual abuse, racist comments, and other forms of misconduct. So what's happening now is, and here's the interesting thing, and I'm going to say this. The athletic director is still employed. The person in charge of the coach. So
Well, of
all
course,
this
he's part of the school administration.
Stop it. He needs to be fired too.
Fitzgerald didn't need to be fired.
Yeah, he did.
Their own investigation
Coach
found that they
fired.
didn't have actual knowledge.
I got two words for you. Joe Paterno.
What happened to Joe Paterno
He
is
got
a
fired.
tragedy.
He got fired because
Tragedy.
he had some molester on his coaching staff.
Yeah, that guy needs to be hung.
Okay.
They should have hanged that guy from the goalpost.
And here's the thing. They go, you're in charge of him. Got to go.
He didn't know what's going on, though.
Doesn't matter. You're in charge. The person in charge got to go. We learned that. Craig and I. I'll give you a good example.
Is there anything more immoral, though?
Every attorney normally has a body over them that watches them. Now, for us, if one of our attorneys or one of our paralegals or somebody else does something wrong, The Florida bar can hold us responsible, even if we didn't know, because they're going, you should have known. You're responsible for these people. Now, I'm thinking in a situation where, people are in a position, and colleges right now with hazing, forget fraternities. But when you have your own athletic organization doing it, they got to and it gets out there, they got to cut it loose. Now, I will say something. The athletic director, he need to be fired. You got to cut that head
Why?
off right there.
Why?
Because he's responsible. He's the top.
Responsible for what?
The
Their
top for everybody
investigation
under him.
determined that nobody knew what was going on.
It doesn't know they know it. It's because they don't want to know. They're not even looking. They're not being proactive. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's like, oh, we didn't know what happened.
Well, you could fire anybody for that. You didn't do what you were supposed to do.
Owners, managers.
You can say that no matter what happens.
Managers get fired all the time for things their employees do that they didn't know about. Doesn't matter. It's optics. It's the optics of it all.